Good morning, everyone. Happy Wednesday. I glitched. I thought today was Tuesday. I had a long weekend and just catching up with everything over the last couple of days. Locked in yesterday and Monday when I came back from Montreal. So I'm all caught up with that. But the big announcement for today is that Bitcoin hit a new all-time high. A new all-time high this cycle. And what does that mean for altcoins? Where do I see the market headed in the near future and midterm future? And how am I positioned? So as for altcoins, or actually I'll start with Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, the daily chart, what do we have? We have a cup and we formed a kind of small handle. So we have the cup from the whole dip that started ranging in December. Then we got the whole dip in March and April to 74K. Then we ran it back up and we've been ranging over 100K for the last 2 weeks, I believe. So we bought the whole dip back up. We've been ranging just under previous all-time high, which is 109K. And as of today, we broke that slightly. Not very powerful, but I think it's a slow grind up, and then we'll probably get a God candle soon. And yeah, I mean, this setup, the measured move on this setup is 140 to 150K. Now, over 140K, I'll probably start unloading some stuff. So we have a lot of room to run from now into, my opinion, mid to end of July. I think we'll have a nice run up. It's obviously not going to be directly up the whole time, but nevertheless, you should be positioned into Bitcoin miners, altcoins, just Bitcoin plays in general. I know IBIT, the Bitcoin ETF on the stock market, that's been getting millions of dollars in flow every single day, ranging from early June all the way to June 2026. There's a bunch of flows, 60 calls, 70 calls, 80 calls, 90 calls, 100 to 110 is what I'm seeing on flow. 110 is almost a 2x from here. Now, obviously, I don't think Bitcoin hits $200,000. Maybe later in the year if the business cycle continues, but for now I'm just playing it short term to midterm. So the next 2-3 months, what do I think will happen? Bitcoin to 145K ish would mean IBIT at, I believe, 80 to 85, something like that. So there's a lot of gains to be made. That's basically a little under 50% move from here on Bitcoin itself. So let's move into the altcoins. Altcoins likely see, I want to say, minimum 2 to 10x from here. I think altcoins at this part of the cycle, the halving was last year. We broke previous all-time high while we were flagging basically all of last year at the election time. So in November, we broke that out. We had a nice pre-altcoin pump for like 2 months into like mid-January, I want to say. Then from there, we started our correction, and it's been pretty ugly. Altcoins erased basically all their gains, wiped out everything. Bitcoin, not too bad. Basically retested the previous all-time high that we broke out from, so 74K-ish. And it's been up only since. So altcoins as a whole, the others chart, the total 3 chart, total 2, and just the altcoins chart in general looks very explosive. I do still believe that we'll have an altcoin season, and in this time of the cycle where it's almost near the end, we usually see money flow so liquidity will start pumping from Bitcoin. We'll probably see that leading for now in the short term, and BTC dominance probably just like chilling a bit. And by the way, that chart is very ugly. Bearish divergence on the weekly, ugly wick on the weekly, just looks toppy for sure. So I 100% believe we'll have a nice altcoin season, and BTC dominance I think is at like 64% right now. I think we probably dip to 50-ish. So we'll see what happens, but I do believe that altcoins, I mean, I'm fully positioned in altcoins, not only altcoins, but Bitcoin plays like Bitcoin miners such as Mara and CLSK, and obviously my biggest position in my portfolio, Coinbase, which has been very strong the last couple of weeks since the S&P inclusion last week. And yeah, all crypto stocks look amazing. MSTR, Mara, Riot, CLSK, all flagging pretty tightly for the last like week and a half. Coinbase sitting just under 270 pivot from the trend line. Once that breaks, I think 345 and 430 are in the cards pretty soon. You know, I've traded Coinbase, it's been a few years, and I know exactly how it trades for the most part when it's explosive. So it doesn't let you position in. So keep an eye out on that. Oh shit. Interrupted my video, bro. Yeah, so I'd be positioned in all Bitcoin plays. You know, risk assets have been performing very well the last few weeks. I want to say since the April 7th bottom. And by the way, that April 7th bottom, I marked it on this channel and it has held since. I don't think we're retesting the lows at all. We may get like a 5% dip in the near future in the market, but other than that, I don't see us revisiting even near 5,000. So that was a generational low, and we're probably going to be pumping for the rest of the year. You know, a lot of people are still sidelined in the market, and positioning even from managers, they're still not positioned into this rally. And we're basically back to previous all-time high. We're at like 5,900 something. Previous all-time high was like 6,100 something. So 200 points, as you guys know, in this crazy market, we could do that in literally like 2 days. So the market is just forming a cup as well, like Bitcoin. Bitcoin's been leading it. And with Bitcoin hitting an all-time high today, I do think the stock market hits an all-time high maybe by the end of the month or early June. Bitcoin has been a leading indicator. It did not dip as much as the Nasdaq. Like, it did dip more than Nasdaq. I think the Nasdaq dipped like 26%, something like that. Bitcoin like 33%. But for Bitcoin being a high beta asset leveraged with the Nasdaq, it did hold relatively well. And a lot of people are talking about M2, which is the money supply in the world, and the correlation with that and Bitcoin and whatever. But it's kind of weird that Bitcoin hit a new all-time high in May. Although I did think it would hit in May. I'm just saying, normally if you're following the M2 chart, it would show that we're hitting a new all-time high in June. So the fact that we hit it earlier leads me to believe that we might just range here for a couple weeks, or Bitcoin is just front running a lot of news and a lot of liquidity that's going to be injected into the market. And one thing that's noteworthy, and first thing that comes to my mind, is the Japanese situation. So obviously we've only had one trade deal announced, the UK, and nothing else has been announced, yet the market is not dipping. So I think the next deal might be with Japan, and there's going to be a lot of FX situation with there. They're probably going to have to inject a lot of liquidity into the market to prep up the Japanese yen alongside the US dollar. So what I'm thinking is a lot of money supply will be injected from Japan. China is already stimulating their economy. The US likely stimmies next in the way of maybe Doge repayment checks. Either, you know, yields are a bit concerning. It's the only thing concerning on this rally is that if yields blow up any day now, the market could dip like 3% in a day. So VIX is back at like 17. Yields are around, the 10 years around like 4.5, 4.6%, which is very concerning. And probably the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, you know, the Treasury market steps in and does some sort of QE. If the Fed, which has signaled, Jerome Powell has said he does not anticipate to step in anytime soon with some form of QE for bonds. So, anything from that kind, that's more money getting injected into the economy. So we'll see what happens, but Bitcoin has been the strongest asset out of everything in the last few months, ever since the beginning of the year. It foreshadowed the drop, it foreshadowed the pump back to all-time high, and if I were you, I'd be positioning into altcoins right now. It's not financial advice, but Bitcoin stocks, any miners, Coinbase, MSTR, 2x leverage, calls, anything. You do not want to miss this pump because it's going to be pretty explosive. A lot of people are sidelined. Today Bitcoin hit an all-time high and my Twitter feed was basically crickets. So that's good for me to see. It means that there's a lot of pump remaining still. So yeah, I would not want to miss this rally is all I want to say. I'm 100% allocated to the market at the moment, and any money that I make in the month, I'll put it straight into the market from here to July. Then I'll reassess my plan then. So I think we'll have a nice couple of months here, and yeah, hopefully we can make some generational money, man. And Q1 was pretty terrible, so not obviously for the market, but for my portfolio as well, I did not do good. So bouncing back from there would be a pretty good feeling, and busting through all-time high, my previous all-time high would be pretty sick, just a quarter later. So hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you guys have any question, leave it in the comment section below. I'll answer any alts question, what I'm positioned in right now, what's my portfolio percentage and all that. Please leave a like, subscribe to the channel, it does help it out a lot. If you guys want to trade with like-minded individuals, there's a free Discord link is in the description below, and I'll catch you guys on the next one. Peace.